Everybody, this is Alan from OC Nerf, and we're taking a look again at the JetX XZeus2 Longshot replacement shell and its relevant parts that goes with the kit. And the first thing that I noticed is there was no instruction manual on how to kind of put the pieces together. Now, it's not that difficult, but I did want to make a video about it just in case you are pretty new to modding, perhaps, or you're just not sure where everything goes since there are no instructions, and this might not be something that you're familiar with. It comes with a few parts, and let's kind of talk about those, and then I'll show you how I figured out how to put things together and some caveats. So it comes with a shell, and it comes in two halves, right? So work on the half of the shell, if you're looking at it, that points the barrel to the left. That would be the working side. There is one thing on the other side, which is the stock lock that you will need to work on, but the rest of it will be using this as the base. You can tell that again by the screw ports being up here. So, there's the shell. It will come with a new bolt sled. It will come with the two halves of the pump grip, which go together like this, the bow barrel, and the muzzle brake, or flash hider, and you can kind of just fit it into there. There will be 3 bags that come with it: a bag of screws and a few other effects, a bag of black plastic pieces, and a bag of springs. Inside the bag of springs is a spring for the stock lock, a spring for the magazine release, and I believe a catch spring. Inside the black plastic will come the 2 pieces that go to the magazine release and the 2 pieces that go to the stock lock. Inside the screw you'll have, I believe, 3 different sizes of screws. The one long screw, which is the bolt that goes all the way through the bolt sled here and connects with the bars of the priming handle. It also will contain 2 longer screws, which I believe and have been using for the pump grip, and it will contain a mess of smaller screws which will be used throughout the blaster. Additionally, it also contains a nylon lock nut washer, which goes onto the longer bolts, and 2 metal rods, which are going to be used in a couple of places on the blaster. Now we're going to go ahead and open this up. I'm going to look at this side first, because I'm going to install this piece, which is the stock lock first. To note, one thing I've already noticed and discovered about this blaster is that none of the screw ports are threaded, so you will have to tap these or thread them yourselves. So if you have a tap that works with this size, which I don't know what size that is just yet, go ahead and use it. If not, you can use a typical tapping method with a screwdriver, a manual screwdriver, where you screw it in part way, screw it out, screw it in part way, screw it out, and just go slow and go carefully and tap some threads into the screw ports. So let's talk about this. There are 2 pieces that you will need in here. This is the back plate that you will need, and it kind of looks like this. And you will also need the peg itself, which is this piece here. So these are the 2 pieces that you're going to need for that. Now you're also going to need a spring. There are 3 springs in here. You are going to need the shorter, wider one. So go ahead and grab that from this bag, and it looks like this. It's pretty self-explanatory. This fits into here, and this caps on top of all of that and gives it like a, if you're familiar with the air restrictors, kind of that similar feeling. So as you push this in, it will go flush with the shell and allow you to move the stock to certain points and then lock it in place once it's there. Installation of this is pretty self-explanatory, I think, but let's just go over it. There's a hole on this side of the shell where all the screw holes are, and I drop it into the shell here, and so it's sticking out on that side. I take the spring and I put it on top of there. Now these screws are already, the screw ports are already threaded, so I'm not going to go through that process here with you on camera. I'm going to take 2 of the smaller size screws, and I'm going to use these on this piece. And you can see here that this piece will slide over, or slide on top of this hole here. Now I'm going to take one and screw it in part way, not all the way, just screw it in part way. Okay, as you can see here, just screwing it in part way, and then taking the other one and screwing that one in part way as well. There we go. And then now locking down slowly and carefully as needed. Good. And then testing it on the other side, that if I push it, it becomes flush with the shell. And that part's installed. Now I can put this side of the shell away for now. And we can take a look at this part of the shell again. Now on this part of the shell, actually you don't need that. What you're going to need to install on this part of the shell is, well, the easiest piece is the bolt sled. There is a ridge here and a ridge here, tabs here and a tab here, sorry, similar to a typical Longshot shell. And again, similar to a typical Longshot shell, you'll see the tracks that it will go on. Now, I haven't put in the Longshot kit here, but there are some kind of weird fits. I'm pretty sure that that's because it doesn't have anything else with it. So, no judgments there on the kit itself. I just feel like it needs to wait until I actually have a kit to go with it. So you'll see here that this top rail is going to go right over here and lock down into place just before that hole. So you'll kind of feel it bite right before that hole, and it doesn't go all the way over that hole. It just goes right up to that hole. You'll kind of feel it stop right there. So leave that in place, and that's all you need to do for that for now. Then you take out your last two black plastic pieces here, and one of these is going to be what is used to catch onto the magazine, and the other one is going to be the lever to release it. And it works like this, and you'll see it in more context. Look at this piece right here. This area of the shell right here. This is where this sits, and this is how this one sits. Now there's one more piece that you're going to need for this, actually two more pieces. One is the spring and one is the post. Let's go ahead and get out the post. There are two posts here. One is thicker and one is thinner. So this is the thicker one, and this one is the thinner one. So you can see they're about the same length. In fact, they're exactly the same length. One is thicker and one is thinner. We're going to use the thinner one for this. We'll put the other one aside for now so we don't confuse ourselves. And we're going to go ahead and put this into this hole here. This is a screw port. You don't want to put it in there, and it won't fit anyhow. You're going to put it right here, and that'll be the pivot joint. Then we're going to go ahead and take, we're going to get a spring first, which is the long spring inside of the spring bag, and you're going to leave the catch spring, hopefully not to fly out on you like that. You're going to leave the catch spring back in the bag, and until you have the rest of the kit, go ahead and seal it up, and you won't need that anymore. On the back of this, you're going to notice a hole. You're going to stick this just like that, and I start from the front here and kind of give it a quick little the problem here is if it bends or wobbles in a specific way, it's hard to kind of push it in. This is a note for JetX. If you haven't thought of this already, probably something that'll help with that is a little bit of a nub that'll keep the spring straight. And you guys know that straight springs are much easier to work with than wobbling springs. So right now it's got a flat back in which to work on. So if you're doing this, take a look at what happens here if you're installing it this way or if it gets caught in some funky way. But if there was a little bit of a nub here, that would help with keeping this straight. So I highly suggest JetX do something like that for this blaster. I might do something like that myself. It shouldn't be too difficult, but I think that would be really good to come up with out of the box. And then you kind of just tease that into place here as straight as possible, and you can see how difficult it is to kind of keep things straight without that nub. And again, I'm going to try this again. We're going to keep it as straight as we can. There we go. Alright, then we take this piece. You want the portion that juts out to be on the right hand side, and it just kind of This kind of fits in one specific way. So again, we're going to do this. I'm going to tease that in there, and then again this will go right in there. And now it's installed, and you'll see here, this will now move out of the way. So the ramp is here as the magazine goes in, then it locks down. Easy and simple enough. And again, we'll put this back on its tracks. Okay, so that's one kind of recommendation I have right now for JetX just in putting this kit together. Two is maybe thread these screw ports for us so that we don't mess this up. I don't feel like I'm going to mess it up, but I think that would be really nice to have all the screw ports threaded already. That would be really handy if you can. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and put on the second half of the shell, and we'll finish up the rest of this basic installation. And then I'll put this here, just like that. Again, this has nothing in it right now, so this won't be a functional blaster, but I'm going to go ahead and put the second half of the shell on top. And it locks into place about as easily as any Longshot shell should. Lines up the screw ports, and it just drops into place. So, pretty easy, typical. Oh, I think I forgot one thing. This goes right here. So the bigger, fatter rod here will go into this piece, and we'll have a corresponding hole on the other side of the shell. And again, you just kind of drop everything into place. It is not useful right now, but that is where that goes, and it will be used when the rest of the kit is in. So expect an update from me once I've got more pieces to this puzzle. Now, the things that you're going to need here is the longer piece and the lock nut. And then what you're going to go ahead and do is take this back half, put it there, take this top half and put it on top of here. And I'm going to put that lock nut on the side and get this. And what you want to do is you want to find the hole inside of your bolt sled, have this go through the arms, through the hole in the bolt sled. It's not so critical at the moment because there's nothing really functional about this blaster, but it will definitely be critical once you have all the pieces. And then you kind of feed it through to the other side, and there we go. Okay. Now you have that piece in place. Now what I like to do is start threading it with my hands manually. And then I'll take my pliers here and kind of hold it down. Just like this. Take any set of pliers to hold it down and slowly tighten it. Not too tight because you want this to have a good sliding feel, but just tight enough to actually catch into the nylon portion of that lock nut. So just enough to catch there. You kind of see how that works. Now the rest of the screw sizes here are all small size screws that will go with the rest of the blaster. I'm only going to be focusing on the two longer screws here. The two longer screws will go into the pup grip here, and we're going to go ahead and screw that down. I am actually not going to be screwing in this whole blaster because I do want to test it, take it apart, and I don't want to do that. I think it's a waste of time since you already understand that the other screws, which are the only ones left, go in all the screw ports on the shell. So all the top ones here, all the ones underneath before you put on the stock, all the ones here on top, and the two under here, and the one here underneath. So make sure to get all of that. Now we are going to go to the stock portion, which is the last piece here. This is the lock. You depress it as you push it in, and it will lock into place. So this is the extended position, next position in, and finally the shortest position. And there it is. That's how you install it right out of the box, and you've got yourself a way to start the kit. Now, if you want to check out how this works, this is this is the I think it's the Magpul or Stefan magazine. So you kind of just slip it into place here, and then this is locked in. A little bit of a wobble. It was pretty easy to put in, but a little bit of a wobble. I will let you know if that affects anything once the whole bolt sled and everything is actually in place, but I don't think it will. If it does, I will definitely let you know in that review and give you my opinions and recommendations on how to resolve it. And here's the magazine release. Pretty easy. And at the moment, without anything holding it in place, it does drop the magazine. So that's the kit in a nut. That's the replacement shell and the kit that comes with it in a nutshell. Hope this was helpful to you guys, and I will catch you in the next video. Nerf on, everybody.